I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
Garoppolo fires. It is caught. Still on his feet is Kittle with a big play. And the stiff arm. George Kittle. Flags fly. He's down to the 30. What a run by George Kittle. Take it on, everybody.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait. Are you kidding me? Do you believe it?
Team that you can hear me, Cole Johnson. I thought I was going to do this alone, but no, I'm not. Because here is one
keeps on giving.
El Jefe. How you doing, bro?
I am well, brother. How you?
I'm doing good. It was a surprise to see you. I was like, oh, okay. Well then.
Yes, I am the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, you are. You're just like the Lakers, as Sig Diggy would say. On the show, we're going to cover, of course, the two playing games that happened last night. We're going to put somebody on the hot seat again today. No, not the same person we did yesterday. And I have to get it off my chest. I got to talk about Dan Snyder, but I will not do that right now. He deserves to have some time. Unfortunately, this show will be abbreviated as well. I have some prior engagements as I will have to rush along. So this is going to be a 1 hour show. And I'm going to start with the early play-in round game last night. Or was it a game? Because the Hawks just simply, how can I put this? They just took the Hornets to the woodshed. And that's the best way I could put it. 132-103 victory. They now travel to Cleveland to where they're going to have to play the Cavaliers to see which team is going to end up being the 8th seed and face off against the Heat in the first round of the playoffs in the East. Your thoughts on the game, sir?
The Hawks were a problem, man. They were a problem, and having that experience from last year,
yeah,
it prepared them for what the game was. Because listen, they held one of the most explosive offenses in the NBA to 101, whatever it was,
103,
whatever, and scored 130.
Yeah, 132.
32.
So mind you, there probably was some, okay, we'll let you score type of baskets late in the game for the Hornets. 103 points. The Hawks held them to. Yeah. And to your point, Trae Young did do his thing, although he shot 8 from 24 from the field, but he did get 24 points. The 3-point shooting was not on point, but it did not matter because the love was spread as all starters ended up in double figures.
Yes. And Gallinari made some big shots.
Yeah.
But Bogdanovich had some big shots.
I believe, is going to be key.
It was an all-around team effort. Capella throw the ball up in the air and put it in the hole.
Yeah. And
Hunter played out his mind as well. Hunter had a great game as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So if that team shows up to Cleveland can say bye-bye.
Yeah. 22 points for Hunter, 18 points for Gallinari, 32 points for Huerta, 15 for Capella, and off the bench, Dieng with 13. I'm sorry, Bogdanovich with 13. 6 players in double figures. If you can get that, yes, I agree. If they could put that same output in Cleveland, we'll be waving goodbye to the Cavs, and the Hawks will again be in the playoffs. But we will be saying goodbye to the Hornets because they were the first team in the play-in round to officially be eliminated from this portion of the season.
Yes.
And, people are already getting on this team because they're saying, well, they lost in the play-in round last year. Now they lost in the play-in round this year. In my estimation, I just believe that they've been a team in search of what they really want to be, and I think in the second half of this year, I think they decided to say, okay, I think we're going to hitch our wagon to LaMelo Ball, and we'll let the chips fall where they made this year, but I think we'll start to probably build around him. And
which isn't a bad thing. Isn't a bad thing. The boy can ball. The boy can play.
yeah,
They have a young team. They don't. It's not. You have some talent there. PJ Washington.
good talent.
You have Miles Bridges. You have
Yes.
players there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They missed Gordon Hayward. They definitely missed him.
that's a big time miss for them. Yeah.
So add a couple of more pieces, and that might just help you get over the hump. But
Yeah.
they have a core nucleus
Mhm.
of young and some veterans in there that can really, if you get a few more pieces, they can make some noise in the playoffs.
I love where they're going, and I do not look at this as them being stagnant because they did bounce out in the 9-10 round last year, 9-10 matchup last year. I do look at this actually as a progression, better record for one, and then two, they now have more cohesion, and I think they have a direction. And normally, when you have that, when you have a direction, I think that matters more in this type of building of a team than it would if you look at their records and say, oh yeah, well they're 10 games better than last year. For example, the Warriors back when Mark Jackson was coaching them. I mean, they won, I think, 47 games in 2013, and then they won 51 in 2014. They went further in 2013 in the playoffs than they did in 2014. But it was they were looked at as basically plateauing and being and staying put. And then we saw what happened when Steve Kerr took over the very next year. You know, they went over 60 games and they pretty much just ran roughshod over everybody in the playoffs en route to a championship. Not saying that the Hornets will be the 2010s version of the Warriors, but I'm seeing the parallel in terms of building, that I think they wanted to find what they are and who they are. And I think they're closer to finding that out, being bounced in the playoffs this year versus last year.
You know what? They have listen. I actually I wanted to make a point. This is why I like the playing game. It gives those teams that are on the cusp of really being good and having some like, hey, listen, we're on the cusp of making the playoffs. This playing game has shown us that we're right there. We can make a playoff run and build a playoff team.
Right.
So that's one reason I like the playing game. It shows those franchises that, hey, a couple of more pieces, we might just actually not have to play in this playing game. We might actually make the playoffs if we add these pieces because we're improved.
And I think that is what they have to look at right there. They have to see the improvement. And if they can see the improvement, then it doesn't matter what others would say that if this team has or has not progressed. Because the makings is there. And I do believe, like you said, a couple more pieces. They sprinkle a couple more pieces in there. And we'll be seeing them make that playoff run very soon, maybe next year. I mean, I'm not counting the Hornets out. In fact, I'm happy they made it this far. I wanted them to make it to this point again, so that we can hear well, I guess last year was a fluke type of talk around them. Six says, "Good morning, gentlemen. It's time to get your throwbacks on." I'm about to talk about why we need to get our throwbacks on. He also says, but do the Hornets really have an identity of their own? Have they found themselves? You know, I like I said, the first half of the year, I think they stumbled and they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. And I think they're starting to find themselves. Now, a more hardcore answer to your question will be presented to will present itself next year when the season goes long. And we'll see if the Hornets have learned from their 2 play-in bounces. But yeah, I think they have found a little bit of themselves. But I think they need to go through another season to fully understand who they are. All right. So turning to the late game, which was actually a more competitive one. The Pelicans did exactly what we thought they were going to do. They met the Spurs challenge and said, okay, well, we got CJ McCollum and you can't stop him. 113-103 victory. And they go to LA. Hopefully it's not a round trip ticket, but they will go to LA to play the Clippers to see who's going to be the 8th seed in the West. Your thoughts on the game, sir?
It was like you said, at first it looked like the Pelicans were going to run away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the Spurs have one of the greatest coaches on the bench in Pop.
Yeah.
And he made his adjustments. And actually they went on a 5-minute drought that the Pelicans couldn't score in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And so that fourth quarter, Pop did what he had to do, held them down. Spurs made it competitive, but I actually enjoyed the game. It was a pretty good game. Ingram was balling out. He was doing some things. They have I didn't realize they had such a pretty good team.
They do.
And of course, CJ McCollum they had no answer for him.
Yeah.
He did whatever he wanted on that court that last night.
And I think that was the difference. That, like we said before the game yesterday, to me, that was the difference. The Spurs, as young as they are and as motivated as they are, and one of the greatest strategists in the game, and Greg Popovich was also one of the greatest motivators, because the dude will not allow you to quit. I don't care who's on the team. You had that, and they still took the Pelicans' best shot, but they just could not outlast them. And McCollum just was the guy on the court. I mean, he was the man. There was no question about that. But to your point, I mean, Ingram chipped in with 27. Valanciunas,
I like how you said chipped in with 27.
Yeah, chipped in with 27. Valanciunas, 22 points, 14 boards.
Another weapon in there. They got some guys off the bench. Alvarado's scrappy. He's one of those players.
Oh man,
he's annoying. He is annoying.
But
you love to have him on your team. He is one of those players again. You referenced Patrick Beverly.
Yes,
Alvarado is one of those players. He is annoying. Just seeing him run up and down the court and getting it. I was like, man, that dude is a little pest. But he comes and plays.
I love him, and I mean this with all sincerity. When I remember, I think it was a game where the Pelicans played in Portland, and I looked, and it was after a made basket by the Pelicans, and I looked, and I was like, okay, I see this guy in the corner. Wait, is he supposed to be on the court? Because I was thinking he was on the bench and he was trying to stand up. And then all of a sudden you see him just curl around and come from behind the ball handler, strip the ball from him, get the ball and pass it, and have another two. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy has found a way to actually make a guy have a head on the swivel, and you have to defensively check for him. Ever since I saw that play, I fell in love with him.
You can't see the guy, man. Like,
no,
he did a defensive. He swiped a ball yesterday in the game. He just came out of nowhere. He came from behind somebody and just came and just knocked the ball loose.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I love that, and he ended up with 12 last night. But I mean, I love the guy.
The Pelicans made me a fan last night.
They make me appreciate the game, because from the standpoint of, we talk about the Grizzlies being a team that plays well together. I did not know the Pelicans were too, and that's a good sign. And if Zion
can be healthy,
and
they could get him to play.
Oh gosh, they would be a beast. They would be a beast of a team. Now, if they could take this to LA and and have the same type of game.
I think they could beat the Clippers.
I could see them beating the Clippers.
I could see them beating the Clippers.
I don't think it's that far fetched.
No, because they have weapons.
Yeah, they do.
You figure George and CJ are gonna cancel each other out. But I like the bench. I like Ingram. Do they really have an answer for Ingram?
And I think the more he plays, the more the answer to that question is no. And I'm liking that. I'm liking it more because it is shown that the Lakers they don't know what the heck they're doing when it comes to talent.
They rather go get the superstar because if you look at the talent they gave away,
jeez,
if they put the right coach with that talent, just the talent they drafted,
they'd be close to a chip by now, if not 1-1 already. It's
yes. I feel yes. You had to give away pieces to get Anthony Davis. But if you really want to keep your squad, your young talent, and build a homegrown talent instead of going out and getting superstars, build yourself a Kobe, like you did.
Yeah,
build yourself a Magic, like you did. You had the talent. You had Lonzo. You had
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle from yes.
Brandon Ingram,
Kyle Kuzma, Jason Hart,
D'Angelo Russell. All those played for the Lakers around that time, and none of them are on the team now. And we're talking about 6 years ago. 2016, they were on this team, and now they're all elsewhere. It boggles my mind how the Lakers are, and we'll talk about them very shortly. Six says, a nuisance on the court. That's a role that's very underrated. When you're a nuisance, you've got the other team flustered and frustrated. Let me tell you about, and I agree with you, Sick. Let me tell you I'll go back old school. Let me tell you a player that was that type of nuisance. That actually was a name that actually had name recognition. And you would probably think I'd say Gary Payton. And yes, he was, but you pretty much knew he was that type of guy and that type of cat. And to me, he's the greatest. He's the greatest defensive point guard I've ever seen. But the guy that he says was the toughest to play was John Stockton. And he was that nuisance. I remember one time, and this was the 94 Western Conference Finals. And it was I think it was game 4. So Sam Cassell gets the inbounds pass. No, I'm sorry. Sam Cassell is trying to fight for the inbounds pass. Stockton decided to literally hug him. But he hugged him in a way where he didn't pull him so tight within his body. He basically just created a bubble with his hands. So where Sam was struggling to get out of the clutches. And then Stockton knew when to break the clutch because he saw the inbounds pass come. He beat Sam to the ball, got the ball, and the Jazz scored the other 2 points. That type of play where, that was against my team, but all I could say was, man, that was crafty. That's a nuisance.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. 6 says, Wise, don't you mean over the hill stars? Past their prime stars, had great potential back in the day stars?
Yes, yes. Those. Those. I just listen. We've been beating on them. It's just I don't understand. I'm not a GM, but from those names that we read off, you had a squad. You had a team that you could have really built, and you went for the quick chip, and here you go. Yeah. You are where you are.
And then people will justify it and say, well, we got the chip. Well, the goal is not just to get one. The goal is to actually get your chip, yes. But you want to get the chip every year, and you want to put your team in a healthy position to where if you don't get the chip, you're close to it. It is not meant for you to get the chip one year, then the next year regress so hard that you look at the team and you question its future. And that's where we're with the Lakers at the moment. Oh, I did mention that team, didn't I? Let me reset really quick. And I'm going to put a Laker. I'm sorry. I'm going to put a former Laker. I think that's the best way I can say it on the hot seat.
In case you bronzexuals don't know by now, LeBron has never been the face of the NBA, although people want to claim he's the face of the NBA. When there's a fellow in Oakland, California that kind of snatched the mantle from Kobe by hitting a three in his face, what impact has LeBron James had on the NBA? I'll answer that for you. Nothing.
Jabroni, Jabroni.
Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
On this terrific Thursday edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Cole here. Brian is convalescing. You just heard his voice. And you heard actually the power couple, Brian and his wife, Dr. K. And joining me is Why Is That Jefe? And I'm glad he's joining me here because that's just something that's just gotten under my skin, man. It just gotten under my skin. Okay, so as we all know, Monday, Lakers coach Frank Vogel became former Lakers head coach Frank Vogel. And he found out that he was fired in the post-game press conference the night before. And what I want to do is I want to put him on the hot seat, but I don't want to put him on the hot seat to grill him. I want to put him on there so we need to actually give him his flowers. So Frank Vogel, you are on the hot seat. Now, the reason why I am putting you, sir, on the hot seat is because you have gotten an unfair shake. Ever since you signed your John Hancock on a dotted line to become the head coach of the team, you couldn't pick your staff. You barely could pick your players. And you had to deal with egos that were bigger than the city of Los Angeles, each. And I don't know how you were able to withstand all of that. Yet, you ended up being the fall guy. And as soon as the Lakers' troubles began, everybody pointed to you. And, sir, if there's no other sports place on the planet that'll say it, I will. And I think Wise will back me up on here when I say this. You, sir, are not at fault. You were hired to be fired. And I hate that, but you were.
Yes, he was. He was set up to fail, man. We all know this. We saw this last year when they assembled this team.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the pickups they made and the subtractions, I'm like, where did they get better?
Right.
And everybody was, their basketball IQ, their basketball IQ. Listen, man, I'm tired of y'all talking about this basketball IQ, man. This is a young man's sport. And when you got these dudes running up and down in wheelchairs, they ain't doing you no good.
No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. The moment the jury was out for me when he did sign. I was like, okay, so they got Frank Vogel. My thought process, former Magic head coach, former Pacers head coach. I was thinking, okay, so I guess they want to pay attention to their defense because this is a defensive-minded guy. So I'm like, okay, all right. This seems to be not quite the Laker way, but I understand you had a few names, Monty Williams, Tyronn Lue, who just flat out turned down the job.
Hell no. You don't want that.
So Vogel, who unfortunately did not have the cachet to do the same, took it because he figured, okay, I can use this as a springboard to other things, which he still can do that now. The issue that I had was the moment I heard that his hiring was contingent on Jason Kidd being the assistant head coach. I'm like, they trying to set this man, like you said, they're trying to set this man up for failure before he even coaches his first game for the team.
You putting Jason Kidd on the bench. Really? A man who's been a head coach in Milwaukee,
yeah,
Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna put him next to Frank Vogel, knowing damn well LA don't want Frank.
No,
Fans don't want to hear Frank Vogel's their head coach.
Fans don't want to hear that, and the Lakers organization didn't really want to hear that.
You know they want to hear Jason Kidd is the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. You know that. That's what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
This is Hollywood. You want the name.
They want the name recognition.
You want the name.
Mm-hmm. He's from the state, so yeah,
he's a Cali boy.
Yeah.
So, but here comes Dallas. Dallas like, nah, we want you to be our head coach. We don't want you to sit on the bench. Just come to us.
That's what I loved. I love that.
And what do you get when you go to Dallas? You get Luka. Young stud Luka.
He stole the words out of my mouth because that's exactly what I was going to say.
Young stud, 20-something years old.
He's not even 25 yet.
Young stud.
He's been in the league a few years. He's still not even 25 yet.
You sprinkle a little Jalen Brunson and some Tim Hardaway Jr. and some of these other little pieces that they have. And of course, I would have taken the Dallas job as well.
And this is why Mr. Kidd took that Dallas job. And Frank, I really do feel for you, man, because when the Lakers brass decided to put the official title of Jason Kidd, assistant head coach / head coach in waiting,
it was.
Mm-hmm. I had to say it for you. I had to say it for you.
Bitch.
I'm like, really? You could have named an assistant head coach in waiting, basically alluding to Frank. Sir, you're on borrowed time. And that's just with what the front office did with you. I haven't gotten to what LeBron has done for you.
So, but okay. So yes, you get rid of Frank Vogel, but again, now the name that everybody's talking about is Mark Jackson. But if I'm Mark Jackson, do I want this job?
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned his name. Six says, I remember back in the 2000s when Kevin Frazier on SportsCenter would refer to the old veterans in NBA highlights as old but tasty. This Lakers roster is simply past expiration.
Sick, you're absolutely right, brother.
Sick,
they
you on
are
the money,
expired,
bro.
Man. They are expired, bro.
I'm so glad you mentioned Mark Jackson. So put a bookmark on that real quick. So the front office dictated to Vogel, this is what is going to have to happen. You're not going to pick your staff. And you got to deal with this behemoth of an ego named LeBron James and whatever he wants. And of course, he'd be in favor of Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis is a two-way player when he's healthy and on the court. So that was a good move if he's healthy. So, okay, you get him there, you win your chip, which I think that disappointed Lakers front office because they wanted Vogel out as soon as they possibly could get him out. And then now he wins the bubble championship. Well, we can't really usher him out just yet. we gotta let him be absolutely god awful before we actually get him out the paint.
So again, we don't want to discount the bubble championship. Again, we don't want to really discount it. It's a championship. It's a championship. It is.
Yes, it is.
But as a fan, did you really get to enjoy it? You didn't even get a parade down. You didn't get to parade. You didn't get to celebrate really with your team. So is that really what you want? You really want to hang your hat on that? Like, seriously, like, do LeBron and AD really want to be like, yeah, I get it. Yes, it's a championship. I understand that. They played it. Yes. But do you really, inside, do you feel? Tell me, do you feel like that's a legitimate championship?
Well, the only people who will feel that being a legitimate championship
It's the
would be,
Lakers.
it would be the Lakers, but most importantly, it would be the Bronzexuals and Frank Vogel. But it's good for Frank Vogel because now we forever have to say he's a championship
Yes.
quality head coach.
He's a champion coach. Yes.
Yeah.
So that benefited his resume. So now
Yeah.
he's looking for a job. Like, oh, listen, we got a championship coach now.
Mhm.
Let's do it. So
Yeah,
yes, it helped his resume.
it did. So
And he should be thankful that they fired him. Actually, he should be calling Rob Pelinka right now and be like, "Thank you for
Mhm.
putting me out of my misery.
yes,
Thank you very much."
because this
'Cause
past
you
year,
was hindering me, like with what you gave me, Rob. I should slap you.
he did look miserable, man. You're right about that.
I'm not
Sick-
trying to advocate violence, but boy,
Yeah.
if I was Frank Vogel and I ever saw Rob Pelinka in the streets,
6 says Vogel's firing had to be the worst point of his tenure, which was the most convenient for the Lakers front office. Yeah. Yeah. In dealing with the egos and not being able to do what you were wanting to do, which was to actually coach, to show your acumen, Mr. Vogel, I really feel for you. I do, because when you have to have your team be dictated by those who have to apply for AARP cards, for those who you have to paint the handicap sign and the insignia on the paint, for those that if they were to play on defense, you have to give them fitted wheelers or segways, because on their own they would not be they will not be able to beat transition offenses or get back on defense if they make a miss. It's just I feel for you because you played with just about every piece on your team, save for maybe 2 or 3, that defense was optional. The one thing that you were supposed to do, the one thing that you could hang your hat on, you couldn't even do it because you had players who could care less if they played defense. So I was like, man, this guy's handicapped. This guy's handcuffed. It's horrible. It's horrible. Now, you mentioned Mark Jackson's name. The names that have been bantied about as to who's going to take over has been absolutely interesting. That was one name. I heard Juwan Howard's name mentioned too. And I'm saying to myself,
Juwan, don't do it.
yeah. Juwan, just don't stay in Ann Arbor and don't throw hands.
You got it good at Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
You got it good, Juwan. Listen to us, please.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Please, bro. Just stay in Ann Arbor and don't throw hands. Just
don't slap nobody else.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Just do Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson and Wise Del Jefe. We're saying right now, bro, 2 things. Just 2 things. Just give us 2 things. Stay in Ann Arbor and don't throw hands. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. But this Mark Jackson name to be mentioned, I'm trying to picture him wanting to be a head coach, knowing that he will not be able to have his own.
Okay, so do you go in
staff.
with that? Do you go in with this with them saying, "Listen, you tried this before with not letting your coach hire his staff, and you see how much that worked for you, right?" So if whatever coach is going in, I'm going in guns are blazing. Like, listen, this is where y'all messed up. Y'all didn't let y'all coach pick. Y'all decided y'all want to pick your coaching staff.
Mhm.
You want me to work for you? I need my coaching staff.
Yeah, I need my coaching staff. There will not be a coach in waiting.
There,
I will have people that I trust who's going to coach
you
this
want
team.
Me? You want me? I bring my staff.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank. Period.
Yeah.
If not, then you could go hire another Frank Vogel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you can get a coach that's going to be like, no, I want my staff.
Mm-hmm.
A coach that's going to be to stand up, and I understand you need a job, but no, there's some principles to this. You need to stir this pot sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You do. 6 says, by the way, when the Lakers won the championship, it was during the pandemic. You couldn't have a parade then.
My point exactly. Sick. I know we was in pandemic, brother. I know this.
Yeah.
So the fans weren't really there either.
Right.
So as a fan, did you really get to enjoy it? You got to just watch it on TV
No,
in a
okay.
bubble. No audience, no nothing. It wasn't.
Lakers fan doesn't care. Just as long as they could tie the Celtics with 17 chips, that's all they care about.
Yeah. But anyway.
Good morning, Ben. How you doing, bro?
Good morning, Ben.
Sick also says good morning to you, Ben. And Ben says, I heard you won Howard too. Yeah. When I first heard that, I was like, oh no.
No, dude. When I heard, I was like, oh man, if I had your number, I'll be calling you. Don't do it, brother.
Like,
don't do it.
brother,
Don't take that job, bro.
Don't
you got it good. You got it good, man.
No,
you only got to deal with teenage egos.
Right.
You only got to deal with teenage egos. That's it.
Bro,
you got to deal with superstar egos. I get it.
No, and you played with and coached LeBron when you went
in
Miami. So you know what you're gonna get. No, bro.
Do you really want that? You're right. No.
No, bro. Six says, here's an insane thought. What if the Lakers hired Charles Oakley as their new head coach? Imagine how the locker room would be. Oh, that's an interesting name you throw to Wise.
Oh man, no, because he would choke somebody out.
Oh no, I love Charles Oakley. No, and I would want him to choke somebody out.
Oakley would choke somebody out. Y'all crazy. Y'all see him get kicked out of MSG. Oak don't play.
It took what, 4 guys
Oak don't play.
Usher him out the arena.
Oak has gotten older and much more grumpier.
That's why I love it. That's why I wish he was on the bench. I wish he was on an NBA sideline.
He can't be a coach. Because when these kids look at him sideways, he be ready to knock him upside his head.
Yeah,
he be ready to knock one upside the head. Like, dude, you know who I am?
It's like he would look at you and you think, okay, he must be trying to pick out something. No, he's just trying to find the right angle to throw the punch.
Yeah.
I love that, but no. But I really feel for you, Frank. I do, because you had to deal with all of that, and then you had to deal with the false shooter. You know, the one that shoots so bad that if he were to be in the vehicle to try to gun Tupac would still be alive today. And that is Russell Westbrook. My partner here would call him West Brick.
So, okay. Me and my nephew discussed this. We spoke about this.
Okay.
And he says you can't blame Westbrook. If he was next to me at that moment, I would have slapped him upside his head for saying such a thing. But then he started pointing out, listen, man, you knew what you was getting when you got West. And he made valid points to why it wasn't Westbrook's fault. He made some very valid points. And it's to the point where I was like, man, I just want to punch you in the face for proving it right. But you knew what you was getting when you got Russell Westbrook.
Right.
So for you to expect anything different, it's insanity, kind of, right?
It is. But I don't fault Frank for this, because he didn't choose. He didn't choose us for.
No, I don't fault Frank either.
I don't fault him,
but I don't blame Brody either, because I now no longer blame Brody either, because he made me a believer.
Okay. All right.
Because you knew what you was getting when you got, bro. When he said, listen, you knew what you was getting. You knew he couldn't shoot. You knew he couldn't play D. You knew what you was getting. Yeah, so for you to get upset over what you knew what you was getting is pointless. And that's where he got me.
So your nephew basically was saying, so for any of us to say, well, the reason why the Lakers season tanked was because of Russell Westbrook, and that we should throw the blame all in his direction.
Oh, hell no.
Here's what you should do.
Yeah.
That's what your nephew was saying. Stop the cap.
Yes. He's like, you can't blame Westbrook. He says you gotta put the blame where it sits. Mr. Rob Pelinka.
Oh, totally. Totally. Sick. Why, dude? What if it was Latrell Sprewell's the Lakers' new head coach? Well, I'll say this: 15 players will have shiny rims too, along with
Spinners.
yeah, they'll have spinners along with marks on their neck. Oh my gosh!
Man.
But the issue I have with Westbrook is not necessarily his motor, and I do have a slight issue with the fact that he is who he is in terms of his play, not his motor, but in terms of, dude, you have no shot. You seem to dribble the ball off your leg. You seem to make decisions that are not the wisest on the court at times. I have a slight issue with that. My biggest issue with Westbrook is no self accountability. None. It is the fans' fault. It is LeBron's fault. He won't say LeBron. He is smart in doing that. It's LeBron's fault, Nady's fault. He came close to saying it because they said let
My
Russ be
coach
Russ,
didn't like
and
me.
they didn't want him to be him.
He's my coach. I don't understand why Frank Vogel didn't like me.
Right.
It's not that he didn't like you.
No, it's not he didn't like you. It was you're doing harm to the team at this present time, and I need to have players who are not going to harm what I want to have accomplished. That is not hard. That's not hard for any of us to decipher. And then it's either the coach or his or his teammates or
the fans
the
calling him
fans.
Westbrook,
Right?
disrespecting his family,
Right.
I calling him that.
That's my issue with him. That's my issue with him. Six says, I appreciate y'all seeing the humor in my questions. I needed a good laugh. I'm sure y'all do as well. Yes, sir. And I appreciated every single last one of them.
We appreciate the great interaction, man.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny, man. It's fun. I enjoy questions like that.
Oh, I do too.
Because you get the honest opinion from me. I'll tell you.
Yeah. The same. And I will end this because I want to get on somebody that I've been itching to just simply destroy for the last few years. And that is, I am not one to blame you, Mr. Vogel, for the lapse of the team's demise. You have a player who, how can I put this? He wants things done a certain way, and he feels as though it will always be done that certain way. This guy, he said something that was quite telling about 8 months ago, and it's part of the reason why we're bringing it the way we're bringing it now. You remember, LeBron James keep talking about our squad personal ages, the way he plays. He stays injured. We're past our prime in this league, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do me one favor, please, and I mean please, keep that same narrative energy when it begins. That's all I ask. Hashtag thank you, crown emoji. And that's the energy we're bringing here, because I know Brian and I said it, Wyatt said it too. You're old, you're slow, you don't have jump shooters, you don't want to play defense. Defense is optional. Heck, I'm actually complimenting you saying defense is optional. You don't even think defense is an option at all. And we saw this 2 months before you tipped off against the Warriors in mid-October, when the place where you called Crypto.com Arena was still called Staples Center. And I feel the exact same way 8 months later. Your team is still old. Your team is still slow. Your team still don't want to play defense. The only person who wants to even think about doing so is injured half the time. And that's not an exaggeration. And you didn't want to listen to your head coach, and you got him fired. You all got him fired. It wasn't something that Frank Vogel did. It was something you all did. You and the front office, all of you, conspired and colluded to get this guy out because he was not the guy you wanted. You wanted Jason Kidd, who said goodbye, saw the mess that it was, and said, I want to be where I know I can control my future. And guess where he is? In his very first year as the head coach of the Mavericks. And guess where you all are now? I'd rather be where Kid is. And I'm not talking about the team in the playoffs in 2022. I'm talking about that team primed to do some damage later on in the decade versus where you all are right now.
Yes. You have, again, LeBron, you can't take away his accolades. He is who he is. But he's 37 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a little bit, he's the past, he's the present and the past. You have a stud, Luka, that
This
you
dude-
know is going to listen to you because you are Jason Kidd.
Yes. He wants to be that point guard par excellence like Jason Kidd was. And he knows this is one of the 5 best point guards in the history of the game. Luka is going to be all ears. And the dude already is a sponge. Just think of the stuff he's going to
It was a no-brainer. It was a no. Do I wait till Franks get fired this year like he did? Or do I go and start something in Dallas where I have a stud?
Yeah.
And I get to pick my staff. And I got an owner that, yes, he's gonna get me what I need.
Yeah, he would.
He's not gonna go get me the shiniest toy.
Right.
He's gonna get me what I need.
And won't stand in my way in doing so.
Yes.
A trip to DFW, please. Yes. Yes. No question. No question. Ryan, good morning to you, sir. Happy Thursday to you as well. 6 says, Jason Kidd also destroyed LeBron James in the NBA championship a few years ago. My favorite one when I talk about LeBron James, LeBron section was 2011. I love that one. So Kidd knew James would try to tarnish his coaching as revenge. Yeah, I can see that. And Sick also said, in the words of the late Patrice O'Neal, that dude was hilarious. You're not entitled. LBJ has been nothing more than a reflection of the sense of entitlement among many millennials and Gen Zers. That's a strong statement. I can't really disagree with that. I really can't. But I'm so glad you mentioned 2011, Sick, because I've been feeling this way since June the 12th, 2011.
The GOAT conversation is officially over.
I ain't changed 11 years later. Oh, what do you say, Stephen A?
The GOAT conversation is officially over.
Yes, it is. And well, I'll put it this way: it isn't over, because I do have to admit something. I'm sorry, SITM fam. I'm sorry, Wise. I have to admit this. You know, I got to make a confession. LeBron James, he is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time at ruining franchises.
Damn!
What was it? What was it, Wise?
Listen, Rick Bucher said it best, man. Like he brings you to the promised land, and when he leaves, you're in disarray. Your village is getting burnt down.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he brought you to the land. He brought you to the chip. Yes. And then he's gonna leave you high and dry,
and scrambling for scraps
and burning.
Yeah. 6 says, I'm an older millennial, so I've seen it amongst younger millennials. Yeah. Yeah. So, Frank, I'll put it to you this way, man. I want you to get a head coach job sometime soon somewhere else, because you deserve to put it in the face and flaunt it in the face of the Lakers to show that you actually are one of the best head coaches that we got in the game today. Because your tenure with the Lakers is not who you fully are, because you did not get a chance to be who you are. And I look forward to see what you do on the team who decides to say, yeah, we want you to lead our team to a championship like you did the Lakers. You deserve that. And I hope you get it. All right, I think it's time for you to get off the hot seat. Now, before I go,
Lost the football. It's on the ground. Covered by the Raiders.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an incomplete pass.
Spread out. Well, he's out. Yes, out. Incredible opportunity.
Durant for three. It's good. Kevin Durant from downtown. Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers. Kevin Durant from downtown.
Whether you like it or don't like it, it's something you gotta live with each and every day of your life.
before I get to the unpopular opinion, Sick, you the man for this. GOAT equals go out and tarnish. Oh, I'm stealing that one. I'm admitting that was sick. That's good, and I'm stealing it. I love it, bro. I love it. So this unpopular opinion is dedicated to one Daniel Snyder. Now, many of you may know him, many may not. So he is the principal owner of the Washington Commanders. And he, and I will say he alone, put this franchise in the crosshairs of Washington, D.C., because he put forth a toxic work environment and he fostered an element where you had a coach of another team who was an analyst at the time he started to do all this stuff, decided to send cancerous email that was sexist, that was racist, that was homophobic, and that and that threw the middle finger toward the commissioner all at the same time. And it was okayed. It was embraced. And that was the best of the worst. Because we haven't even gotten to possibly the sexual harassment suits that's possibly been filed, or the sexual misconduct files that's possibly been filed, or just straight up the possible affirmative action lawsuits that you probably are fielding at this moment. We don't know all of that. But if Washington's calling their own team that is just a few miles away from the Capitol, that you must be doing something awful. You must. Because if it takes having the ownership group of the NFL to say, step aside for the day-to-day. It looks bad on us if you were to run the team day-to-day and you would be the face of the team. Let your wife run it. That's how bad you are, Dan. Right there. That's how bad you are. It's to the point where now you are in your 28th year of running this team. And we have to struggle as to any wins. And I'm not talking about on the field. I'm just talking about as a franchise. For the lone exception of you're now one of the richest franchises in sports. That's probably the only win in the 28 years you have been the Commanders owner that you can actually say the team has had. On the field, we can't say anything because it seems like you're snake bitten. You don't believe me? Robert Griffin III. And then we had to deal with stupid moves such as getting your insatiable appetite, and this will make you happy, Wise. You thought just like the 2022 Lakers front office did a long time ago in getting free agents well past their prime, like Deion Sanders, like Albert Hainsworth. The only thing Albert Hainsworth was good at doing was basically flopping on somebody and injuring them. That was the only thing. That was the only good thing he was capable of doing. And that was before you got him. He didn't even want to flop when you got him. That's how bad you are.
Yeah.
And so if the handwriting isn't on the wall, where you got Washington coming down your throat, having an investigation placed upon you, if it isn't bad enough that fellow NFL owners want you out, if it isn't bad enough you got sexual harassment suits out the yin yang piling up on you, do all of us a favor. Now, I don't advocate violence either, but do us all a favor and just simply take yourself and put yourself out of your own misery. I'm not saying kill yourself. I'm saying you being the lifelong Commanders fan that you are, why don't you return to being a fan? Because being an owner has run this franchise straight under the dirt. I just.
You said it. You said it. You said it. Listen, Dan Snyder is a horrible owner. This franchise, a once proud franchise under Joe Gibbs and the Cook family, and being able and just to see where they're falling now, where you have an ego so large that he doesn't let his football people run operations. He wants to be inside. Listen, man, you're a business owner. Yeah, you're a businessman. Business is your thing. Let your football people do their thing. That's the problem in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry wants to be involved in everything. I get it. It's your own. You're the owner. Yes, but let your football people do their thing. What is so difficult? This is why you pay these people this money. It's for them to do a job. But it seems like you don't want to let them do their job. I don't know, man. And as much as they are rivals of my team, the Giants,
of course,
it's a proud franchise. This is a franchise. One of the Hogs. You think of Doug Williams. You think of some of the great players that played for Washington.
Yeah,
Art Monk,
Dexter Manley. I mean, yeah, we can go on.
You got Joe Gibbs, a great head coach, one of the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've turned it into this, into a show. What is that?
Dog and Pony Show.
Dog and Pony Show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
NFL needs to do something. They need to step up, get him out, because he's bringing down the league. He's bringing down. Eventually, he'll bring down the league as well. He's bringing down the franchise. He's doing damage. Get him out. Have him sell. Force him to sell.
And that's what and that really is the unpopular opinion. I want the NFL to grab its gumption and look. I mean, all of the owners get together. You all have owners meetings at this time of the year anyway. Why don't you conduct another one? Have all of you go to California, Arizona, some warm place where you don't have to deal with heat and humidity, but you just deal with a nice, wonderful, serene situation and setting where all of you billionaires can get together and you all can commiserate with one another, and you all can run an intervention on Daniel Snyder and say, you will sell the team now. You're a cancer to the NFL. You're a cancer to the rest of the ownership. You are a cancer to the sport of football. And you're a cancer to all of us as businessmen. You need, your wife, and any vestige of who you are needs to get the heck on out of here now. You need to sell it, and we will, the Shield will buy it. We're not even going to be under the auspices of, well, you can search for the next buyer, and then you won't have to leave until the sale is made. No. Let the NFL take it from you, and you just go peacefully, and you go off in that gentle good night like you should have done many, many years ago.
Yes.
6 says, basically, Snyder runs the franchise as if he was playing fantasy football or Madden the Ultimate Team. Yeah. And Ryan went on to say, Joe Theismann, John Riggins, Mark Rippon, Mark Gouveia, the fun bunch. Oh, yeah, I mean, I can go on. And 6 says, let's not forget he's responsible for the Marty Schottenheimer fiasco, too. Yes, he was. He was. And the reason why that gets overshadowed is because he unfortunately had to deal with a bigger fiasco in San Diego where he went 14-2 and got fired that offseason. Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. NFL, you're not doing your job. You need to get Daniel Snyder out of here. You need to force that sale, and you need to have the other 31 owners of the league take part ownership of the team. April 14, 2022. You need to do it now. Don't delay. Don't wait for new ownership to come. Don't wait for like a Sam Walton to buy a team like he's trying to buy the Broncos. No. Force him to sell it to all of you right now, because this guy needs to go. He needs to go.
Lost the football. It's on the ground. Covered by the Raiders.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an incomplete pass.
Spread out. Well, he's out. Snyder's out. Incredible opportunity.
Durant for 3. It's good. Kevin Durant from downtown. Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers. Kevin Durant from downtown.
Whether you like it or don't like it, it's something you gotta live with each and every day of your life.
You want to support the program? All you have to do is go onto patreon.com and hit /SIT morning. That's patreon.com/SIT morning. And you can join us. And if you want to be part of the interactive throng, like Ryan, like Sick, like Ben, and like many others, all you have to do is go onto YouTube. We're live every morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, sometimes 8 to 10. But unfortunately, we have to cut this short because I have other prior engagements. But just go to youtube.com and type Snowman in the Morning 50. That's Snowman in the Morning 50. And do us a favor. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Share it throughout all your social media community, because the love comes from all of you, and we love all of you. Any closing thoughts, Wise?
No, it was a pretty good night in sports last night. I enjoyed the games.
It was. I did too.
Besides Vlad Guerrero going ham and hitting 3 homers, but hey, it's all right.
And the reason why he says in such a forlorn manner, if y'all don't know, Wise is a Yankees fan, and Guerrero went yard 3 times against his beloved Bronx Bombers.
Yes, he did. Yes. Listen, I respect the game, man, and he's a great player. He
is. Vlad is. Oh man, yeah. Well, that is all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us. For Wise, I am Cole, and we're here to say the following: just take care, God bless, and Make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. Wise is doing that. I'm doing that. Brian, we love you, bro. We know you're doing that as well, man. We know all of you in the chat box are doing it, and I hope we all are doing it too. And for all of us here at Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, and for Wise, I am Cole Johnson, here to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold, hard facts.